Hello students, welcome again. Students, in our previous video lecture, we discussed Sir Walter Scott's contribution to English fiction. We discussed Scott as a historical novelist. In today's lecture, we want to understand Thomas Hardy's contribution to English fiction during the 19th century. So now let me begin by taking this quotation said by Abercrombie. Abercrombie has rightly remarked, he said that it would be claimed for the Wessex novels of Thomas Hardy. Wessex novels is the title given to his novels. Why they are known as Wessex novels, that we will discuss in this video later. Okay, but his Wessex novels, they have achieved both style and substance, right? According to Abercrombie, his novels, Hardy's novels, are complete in style and complete in substance or content. And these two things enable English fiction to fulfill the greatest functions of art. So according to Abercrombie, his novels achieve the greatest functions of art, and that's why he has been considered as an important novelist of the Victorian era. If you study the whole Victorian era, we have some great novelists like Charles Dickens, we have Sir Walter Scott, we have this Thomas Hardy. Okay, but Thomas Hardy is the last important Victorian novelist towards the end of the 19th century. He considered novel as a living organism, okay, in which all important elements like plot construction, good dialogue, art of characterization, proper setting presented by the novelist, all these things combine together as a living organism, which we call novel in our terminology. Hardy actually, in the beginning of his career, wanted to be a poet, but his wife, her name was Emma. His wife Emma suggested him to write novels, and later on he turned to write novels, and he became a very popular and successful novelist, not as a poet, but he carved his name in the annals of English novels than in poetry. What are the major novels? Actually, he has written 14 novels, right? Some short stories also. But Hardy has been remembered for his very important these 5 novels which he published from 1874 to 1895. Far from the maiding crowd, Return to the Native, The Mayor of Casterbridge, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and Jude the Obscure. Okay, these are some very important novels written by Thomas Hardy. Now Hardy, as I told you, his novels are known as Wessex novels, and Hardy is considered as a regional novelist. If you have studied Indian writing in English, and if you have come across the novels and short stories written by R.K. Narayan, then Narayan is also considered as a regional novelist. Why? Because R.K. Narayan has created that regional rural environment in all his stories and novels. In the same manner, Thomas Hardy, he restricts himself to present the life and manners of Wessex only. Wessex is what? It is the name of a district in southwest England. So in his novels, you find the people from Wessex, you find the life of the Wessex, you find the scenes and sceneries of the Wessex, and that's why, his novels are known as Wessex novels. He has depicted the peasantry life, the life of the farmers. Okay, he has talked about the life of the rural people, and many times he has also tried to write on the civilized or sophisticated urban life, but there he has failed. Okay, he has been successful as a novelist just because he has written about the life of the rustic people, the life of the people living in Wessex. So that's the reason why we consider him as a regional novelist. David Lindley, an important historian, has said these things. As you can see on the screen, he said that Hardy was the first English novelist to write about the countryside. Countryside means villages and rural life. Okay, Hardy was the first English novelist to write about the countryside and its inhabitants. Inhabitant means the people living there in the countryside in a serious fashion, and obviously he drew constantly on the inspiration offered by the people of the country in which he was born and spent most of his life. Okay, Hardy was born in the rural area. He spent major portion of his life in those rural places, at those rural places, and that's the reason why he was much inspired by such rural environment which he has presented in his novels. Okay, as Diana Nill also said the same thing. He said that no other novelist can render the sights and smells of the countryside with such evocative sensuousness. You find that his description of the rural life, rural people, rural manners, it appeals our senses. So his sensuousness is found in his novels. Okay. Another important thing is to not which we should note about Hardy's novels is that he has a wide variety of themes and places presented in his novels. His novels represent mainly the problems of marriage and divorce of our society. Okay, he has discussed the problems of marriage, of love, of affairs, of divorces, and all such things. Okay, moreover, another important theme or subject matter that we find in his novels is how man struggles against his destiny. So man put in opposition to his fortune, his destiny, and the struggle, the conflict between the destiny and man has been presented by Hardy in most of his novels. Hardy has also been acclaimed as a great master of art of plot construction. Why? Because right from his childhood days, we find him as a lover of stories, right? And he loved to tell the stories. He himself was a great storyteller, and that's the reason why we find complete and complex plot construction in his novels. All incidents which are presented in his novels are connected logically with one another. Okay, we find the conflict. His plots are mostly the conflict between the old rural civilization and the new urban civilization. Moreover, he has presented some tragedies in his novels where the tragedies arise from the influence of modernization over the domestic life, the rural life. Okay, the plots of the Far from the Maiding Crowd, the Return of the Native, the Mayor of Casterbridge, all these are the best examples of good plot construction. Moreover, we should also notice his art of characterization. He is the master of this art of characterization. Why? Because he has taken all different characters from all walks of life from Wessex regions, right? Mainly, he has chosen to present the peasant heroes and heroines. Okay, his heroes and heroines are mainly farmers, laborers, shepherds, and singers. Okay, and there is proper, there is kind of imbalance you see in this character. That is, I mean, they are highly emotional characters. Not much of intellectualism has been presented by Hardy in his characters. Okay, we remember his very immortal characters like Bathsheba and Tess, Henchard, oak. These are memorable characters for the lovers of English fiction during the Victorian era. Okay, he has also presented some good characters and bad characters. Good characters are rewarded and are praised by Thomas Hardy in his novels. Some bad characters like Sergeant Troy, like Dr. Fitzpire, like Wildew, all such bad characters are condemned by the novelist in his novels. Another important feature, this is very important, pessimism and his very serious philosophy of life we find in his novels. Hardy himself was a very sad person. His personal life was full of obstacles. He faced many problems and conflict in his personal life, and that's why he had that pessimistic mindset. Okay, and that you find in his novels. Moreover, physically also, he did not enjoy good health. Okay, and that's why we find that he was more bent towards the funeral side of life, the sad part of life which he has presented. Okay, like we find the whole gloomy atmosphere, we find the atmosphere of tragedy and despair and loss of hope in his novels like Tass, like Mayor of Casterbridge, Jude the Obscure, and so on. Mark these two lines. Okay, I have taken these lines from his novels. He writes like, as flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. Any boy just picks up a fly and kills the fly. In the same manner, God attacks anyone and kills anyone, right? So, loss of hope, they kill us for their sport. As we kill the mosquitoes, in the same manner, our destiny, our God kills us for sport. Okay. At another place, Hardy has presented this pessimism. He said, God is not in the heaven and all is wrong with the world. The similar lines were written by Robert Browning also. If you remember, I uploaded one video on Robert Browning where I had taken these two lines. Robert Browning said that God is in the heaven and all is well with the world. Similar lines in an opposite manner, Hardy has said, God is not at all in the heaven and everything is wrong in this world. Okay, so this kind of pessimism you find in Hardy, optimism in Robert Browning. Hardy is also sometimes considered as a poet of nature, but his attitude towards nature is not just like that of William Wordsworth. Wordsworth was a lover of nature, Hardy was also a lover of nature. But Wordsworth considered nature as a mother nurse. Wordsworth considered he found some spiritual consolation in nature, but Hardy finds nature as a cruel agent of God. Okay, he believes that nature is the agent of cruelty and destruction. He has no faith in nature, and he writes these two lines, darkness and silence. This is, he speaks against nature. He says, darkness and silence ruled everywhere in this world. Where was Tess' guardian angel? Where was the providence of her faith, of her simple faith? So he asks questions about the future of Tess, right? So, pessimism you see in these lines. David Cecil, an important historian of English literature, has also said this thing about pessimistic nature of Thomas Hardy and how Thomas Hardy looks at nature. He said that he did not believe that nature has any holy plans or healing power. So, Hardy does not find any healing power or any consolation in nature. Being influenced by the theory of evolution, Thomas Hardy was living during the times of Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin has had recently published his theory of evolution, and Thomas Hardy was much influenced by that theory. He found much in nature that was cruel and antagonist. What was theory of evolution, survival of the fittest. If you are the fittest person, you will survive, otherwise, you will be killed. This is the heart of the theory of evolution, and the same thing has been presented by Thomas Hardy in his novels. So, all in all, let me conclude by saying that he was indeed a great dramatist, a great novelist, Thomas Hardy. Okay, he is a great storyteller. His art of plot construction and his art of characterization makes him a great artist in the field of English fiction. Just like R.K. Narayan, Thomas Hardy has been considered as a regional novelist. Why? Because he has presented Wessex region in most of his novels. His novels are full of pessimism, and his attitude to nature is about, he considers nature as the agent of cruelty and destruction. So, all in all, in fact, he has contributed 14 novels, some poems, and some short stories. So, here I end up this discussion. Please do ask me if you have any questions in the comment section of this channel, and if you really like the video, please do let me know so that I can understand and I can improve myself. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching.